15-year-old Touya Mochizuki is accidentally killed by God. Yes, the God. I guess the God here makes mistakes. As an apology, God allows him to be resurrected, but since he cannot send him back to his old world, he instead reincarnates him into a fantasy world along with any special requests he might want. Touya, as a true Gen Z, requested to bring his smartphone into the new world with him, which God accepts. But God even takes it a step further and modifies his phone with some Tony Stark upgrades. But Touya cannot contact his old world with it, and the phone can only be recharged by magic. Aside from that, the phone performs the usual function, such as accessing data from the old world, and can use relevant features for the new world, such as the GPS functions, to locations which are comprehensively identified on it. God also greatly amplifies Touya's physical, magical, and cognitive abilities to a certain degree as a further apology for the inconvenience of killing him. He is bestowed with all 7 attributes of magic: fire, water, wind, earth, light, dark, and null. With these newfound abilities and gifts, he is sent into a new world. Touya then blacks out after his upgrade. After he wakes up, he is called by God, and not in the biblical sense. God checks to see if the phone is working, and it is. While exploring the town, trying to figure out where he is, a merchant, or rather, a fashion designer, sees him and immediately gets all hyped up on what Touya is wearing. He had never seen a design like that and instantly wants to buy it off Touya. Touya accepts, and the designer even gave him new clothes. After they finish their transactions, Touya decides to look for a place to stay, an inn, at least for the time being, till he figures out what to do next with his second chance. While searching, he sees a bunch of thugs harassing some girls. Apparently, the thugs bought an item from the girls but are now refusing to pay the agreed amount, which is 1 gold coin, and they still want to rough the girls. Touya, seeing this, and being a gentleman, decides to pay for the item and let peace reign. He pays for the horn, snatches it from the goons, and breaks it into tiny pieces. The thugs see this, get angry, and rushes to beat him up. However, thanks to the upgrades done by God himself, Touya beats the thugs up pretty easily. He even does that in slow motion. The 2 girls introduce themselves as twin sisters, Elsa Siloeska and Lynn Siloeska. Touya also introduces himself with his full name, and the girls instantly think he is from another country called Ishin, a country that resembles feudal Japan. Seeing as he is a foreigner, the girls decide to help him. They guide him to a nearby inn, and the 3 are all lodged there for that day. The next day, Touya is given a rundown on how things are run in the country. They even take him to a guild to show him where people could get paid by taking on missions. The harder the mission, the more money they can earn. Right there on the spot, they decide to form a party and go on a mission. After the success of the mission, Touya casually asks a favor from the girls. And no, it's not an eggplant favor. It was a simple and weird question that even the girls were shocked. He asks them if they could teach him how to read and write. Yes, all this time while he was here, he couldn't read or write the language of the new world. Not only did he ask them for some little schooling, but he also asked them to teach him about magic. Since Linz is good at magic, she decides to help Touya. Linz tells him that for one to use magic, they need to have a certain aptitude that can make them use certain types of magic. To begin with, there were 6 kinds of elemental magic: water, fire, earth, wind, light, and darkness, and a special form of magic called null magic. To use any of this magic, the person must have an inbuilt skill. Linz further adds that there are 7 stones of magic that can be used to test aptitudes, and they try to see what magic Touya can use. Well, thanks to God, it turns out Touya is an NBA All-Star player. He has the ability to use all 6 elements and even the rarest null magic as well. The girls are shocked as they have never seen or even heard of anyone who could use all 6 elements. On top of that, the null magic, Gate, that Touya is able to do is very powerful. With this, he can travel from one location to another in a matter of seconds. After a couple of days, Touya has already learned to master most of the elements and their spells, which is a huge advantage to the trio as a party. And so the party takes more advanced missions, which gives them more money. One of such missions is to deliver a letter to the royal capital. As the group leaves for the capital, they notice a woman being bullied by a group of men. Even though her attackers are plenty, she manages to beat them all, but she finally got defeated by one tough enemy we have all experienced: hunger. She was hungry, and despite being able to beat the group pretty easily, her hunger gets the best of her and she slips. Touya and his group, however, appear just in time to help her out. The girl introduces herself as Kokonoe Yae. Yae tells them that she had lost all her traveling expenses on her way here and she was very hungry and lost. The trio decides to help her and give her a treat at a nearby inn. After eating food meant for three, Yae finally tells them about her ordeal. She left home to embark on her swordsmanship as she came from a family of samurai. She was currently traveling to the capital to hone her skills. The twin sisters tell her that they were also going to the capital, and so all of them decides to go together. While heading to the royal capital to deliver a letter, the group was ambushed by some lizards summoned by an evil magician intending to attack a royal carriage that is also passing the same route to the royal capital. As the girls defeats the lizards, along with the magician, Touya enters the royal carriage where he casts a null healing spell, saving a butler named Liam from his death. Lady Sushi, Sue, or near Ortlinde, the daughter of a duke who was also in the carriage, thanks Touya for saving Liam, and altogether, the group head to the royal capital, where Sue brings Touya to her father, Duke Alfred Ortlinde. The duke thanks Touya for protecting his daughter, and during their conversation, reveals that his wife, Sue's mother, Duchess Ellen Ortlinde, was blinded from an illness and requests a healing spell powerful enough to cure the Duchess' blindness. But unfortunately, finding someone with such ability is rare to find. Touya decides to try his luck and sees if he could cure her. Using the null healing spell, Touya magically cures her blindness. The Duke is so ecstatic that he gives Touya 40 platinum coins, which Touya estimates to be around 40 million yen, as gratitude for saving his family, as well as 4 royal medals, which represents Touya, Yae, and the Siloescas now under the Duke's protection. It is understandable, seeing as Touya saved his daughter, his friend, and butler, and healed his wife all in one day. Yae, witnessing firsthand the power of Touya, decides following Touya will be the best for her skills, so she joins Touya's party permanently. Touya discovers the mere human races at the royal capital, such as elves and beastmen, and during his process of exploring the city, or rather, the market to be precise, he sees a fox girl who looks lost. The little fox girl tells Touya her name is Arma and she is looking for her older sister. Being a gentleman, he offers to help her find her older sister, Olga. Olga thanks Touya, and after a short conversation, Touya and the girls go shopping. Touya buys a magician's coat that protects magicians against magic they can use, but unfortunately, it makes them weaker against magic they can't use. But that's not a problem for our star boy Touya, even though he didn't know it at that time. Later on, Touya casts a null crafting spell, turning a tree trunk into a shogi board at the behest of a woodcutter, which Touya brings to the Duke and teach him how to play. The next day, Touya and the girls accepts a quest to destroy a Dullahan near the ruins of the old capital city. The royal capital moved from there to its new location about 8,000 years ago, and now it was being haunted by headless knights known as Dullahan. With Lynn's and Touya's magic and Yae and Elsa's brute force, they are able to defeat the enemy. After the Dullahan was defeated, Touya uses a null locating spell and finds an item of magical value hidden in a secret dungeon. The item later on turns out to be the energy source for an artificial glass beast that can repair any damage done to it. The group fights a tough beast and manages to defeat the beast by smashing its core. Then Touya extracts the energy source. The group returns to the royal capital where they tell the Duke what really happened, and the Duke suspects that the beast may have been the reason why the old capital was abandoned and asks Touya to help him in an investigation the next day. Later on, Touya was contacted by the Duke, who reveals that his brother, the king of the royal capital, has been poisoned. En route to the royal capital, the Duke becomes concerned and tells Touya that the king's eldest daughter, Princess Yumina Erne Belfast, may succeed his throne if he dies. Touya and the Duke arrive at the capital where the king's men are gathered around him and watches in awe as Touya casts a null healing spell, curing the king's poison. The king is saved,